Tokusatsu, taking the form of many shows including Super Sentai, Kamen Rider, and Metal Heroes. And today, a group of fans come together to review it for you as Toku Secrets.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Toku Secrets podcast presented by AnimeSecrets.org. I am your host, Nathan Desa. And today we are going to be continuing our journey of a samurai as we take a look at episodes 11 through 20 of Samurai Sentai Shinkenger. A brief recap of Shinkenger before we jump right in. Last time we were in Shinkenger, we took a look at Acts 1 through 10, where we were introduced to our main five Shinkengers, which include Takeru Shiba, or Shinken Red. He is the lord of the samurai group and the current head of the Shiba clan, and his four vassals, which include Ryunosuke Ikanami, or Shinken Blue, Mako Shirashi, or Shinken Pink, Chiaki Tani, or Shinken Green, and Koto Hanaori, or Shinken Yellow. And together they are Samurai Sentai Shinkenger. And so far we've just been revolving around their conflict against the Gedoshu, evil spirits from the Sanzu River. We've learned quite a bit about their characters, and we'll go into more depth on them in this video. No real need to recap with that. So, with that being said, we're going to jump into our first two acts, which are kind of a two-parter. And I'm going to actually, but of course, before we do that, I also got a couple of other guys that are on here. So go ahead and introduce yourself, guys.
Hello, I'm one of the other guys. Patrick here.
Hello, I'm one of the other guys, and I'm Rizwan.
And I'm also Anthony. Same chicken green, I guess you could say.
He's the other
guy.
We got a
Other,
team right here. I'm Shinken Silver. Rizwan is Shinken Black. I think that's what you decided on, Riz.
Yeah, I'm thinking black.
Patrick is Shinken Red, and that makes Anthony Shinken Green, I guess.
Shinken Red.
And you're thinking silver, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Wait, what did you say? What did I say?
If I actually was a Shinken Silver, my Moji Kara would be Ice, just to let you guys know. So I guess that means Riz would have darkness.
Yeah, I'm done with that.
Sitting
Yummy.
imagining a Shinken Silver outfit, that thing would look hideous.
Probably, yeah.
I think black would be kind of cool.
It would.
It would.
Well, anyway, we're going to jump right in. So I'm going to let Patrick take a look at episodes 11 through 12, kind of a two-parter. So go ahead, Patrick.
This is it's a two-parter that kind of wraps up what I would consider the opening arc of the series. Dokuku learns that Shinken Red is a descendant of the Shiba clan. Therefore, he knows something called the Sealing Spell, which is what his Takeru's ancestor sort of tried to do with him. He did an incomplete version of the sealing symbol, and it didn't fully seal Dokuku away. He just temporarily sealed him away, which is why he's back now. So upon learning this, he sends every single Sagoon he has after Takeru specifically to try to take him out to make sure the sealing symbol can't be used on him again. Because of this, the other Shinkengers start to worry about him, thinking that they need to double down their protection of him. But Takeru doesn't want them to get in the way because he doesn't want to burden himself if anything were to happen to them. So when they get called out, when one of their alert systems go off, the monster that Dokuku sent after them specifically calls out Takaru, and he has to fight him off by himself, and he gets beaten up pretty badly in the fight. So when he goes for killing blow, Ryosuke and Konoha jump in the way and take the blow for him, which Takaru doesn't handle too well. And as the monster's coming in to finish them off himself, Juzo comes out of nowhere and fights him off, saying he wants Takaru for himself. So there's a three-way brawl between these three. It kind of ends with the monster escaping, Juzo telling him that he wants Takaru to fight him at his fullest because he sees him as the true opponent that him and his sword basically crave for. Ryosuke and Konoha in serious pain at this point, and Takaru leaves because he feels guilty for those two getting hurt. The second part of it starts off with G realizing that he's gone and says that Takaru's probably just out trying to find himself because the stress of having, I guess, other people's lives in your hands was a little bit too much for him. And this is the point that Mako brings home to Chake when Chake kind of sees it as like more of a celebrity status, and it kind of rubs her the wrong way. So while Takaru is out there, he runs into a kid who's kind of down on his luck, and he cheers him up and kind of sees the point of going on because he sees how happy the kids are. So when the monster comes back, the other Shinkengers join up with him, and he basically realizes that not only does he want to put their trust back in himself, but he wants to put his life in their hands as well, as like a maybe more of a I want to do this Lord thing my way kind of deal. So they fight him off, summon Shinkano, and complete the new upgraded Tenku Shinkano, which allows the thing to fly, and they get their kill. Takaru comes back, everybody's happy. I know that's kind of a very brief overview of what we're doing here, but yeah, it's a good two-parter for Takaru because it does explain his whole hesitancy on wanting them here, because the burden of having people's lives in his hands where they could die for him and he doesn't see the point of it. I can understand why that would get to him, in all honesty.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think about all this? Any points of discussion you want to latch onto here, Riz? I know you're going to be the first one to try to say something.
First, I was gonna let somebody else say something positive first.
Yes.
So if Anthony or Nathan want to go first, they can.
Uh-oh, he's got something.
I've got not much to say. I think this was a pretty good episode. I think it's pretty good. Just knowing stuff about Takeru's backstory that I can't really say right now because I don't want to spoil it for the people. I think this is a good progression. Little but yeah, I think it's a pretty solid two-parter. Not a I feel like it does show Takeru to be a little bit of a better person because, we see him playing around with like a kid to try to help him cheer up. So I think it's pretty good. It's pretty standard, but enjoyable.
I have to agree with Nate on this one. There wasn't really a whole lot to say. I mean, the combination with both Daitekuo and Shikino was actually pretty cool. So,
Having
um,
a ability to fly is always a nice addition.
obviously, of course. But yeah, like it was a pretty good episode, a two-parter, I should say. So, I have nothing to say.
The floor is yours.
So for me, it wasn't a bad episode series actually. The reason I wanted to comment a little bit on here is not necessarily to trust Takaru, but to comment that this is a common trend we see whenever he's around. That he doesn't want to involve people, and I get it. Like, he's trying to be this noble badass that just does everything himself. But I hate that about his character because he's supposed to be the leader of the group, but yet he has this baggage that I'm certain we're going to get to, as Nate alluded to later on, that explains why he has this problem. But I, he's not demonstrating what I would want from a Red in terms of leadership here. Because the leader should be able to kind of, you know, delegate or at least collaborate a little bit.
I mean, this is probably my inner psychologist talking here, but given we can assume from his past that he's basically been sheltered inside the Shiba house for practically his whole life. He probably has no social skills.
I mean,
So,
yeah, that's a huge part of it. I mean, we'll see some of that in later episodes we talk about today.
yeah, for sure.
And I have a lot to say there, definitely.
Mm.
But I mean, I'm not trusting him. I'm not saying he's hot garbage just yet. I mean, though he is hot garbage in general as of right now, there isn't anything here that he's done that's just like, no, I don't like this guy anymore. He's just terribly written. He's annoying. He's arrogant. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I see the trend that he's struggling to be that guy that he thinks he has to be, and he's got a lot to overcome as a character in terms of um what he needs to learn to be a proper Red.
Yeah.
And I think that phrase I just
Yeah.
said will be really important later on.
Yeah, because in
Yeah.
a way, kind of summed up the main point of the whole season. Like that's
Yeah.
the journey, and this
Yeah.
is the first step in doing that because we kind of get insight into his way of thinking for the first time, and kind of we
And
get it. We
and
may
see,
not
it's
agree
not.
with it, but we get it.
I mean, I get why he's like that. I really do. But I can't tell you guys I like this character.
Yeah.
Because quite honestly, I don't. I mean, there are several other Reds across PR and Sentai that I'll put above him right now.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
in terms of like Red leadership, he's not that great. In terms of general Red Rangers we've had on both sides of the fence, Japan and America, he's nowhere near top 5, top 10 in my book. To me, right now, as he stands at like episode 10, 11, he just hasn't done anything to make him stand out. He's kind of mediocre at this point, and that's kind of depressing because I know he's going to turn into something great, but seeing him be this mediocre, nondescript Red with not many good features going for him right now is kind of difficult for me to enjoy the season as of like this point.
Sorry.
You can comment. I mean,
I
I'm
just
all
can't
for it.
picture. I just can't picture Takeru and mediocre in the same sentence. It just doesn't. It just makes my
Yeah.
brain just go.
Like I said,
I didn't say
Trigger.
true.
it's like we said this at nauseum in the last video, but
Yeah,
our perspective is different than his, and it's difficult for us to talk about it in full at this point in time.
Right.
But
Yeah.
at this point, through Riz's perspective, I 100% understand why he's saying what he's saying. Because I told Riz this before we started this video, that this is a full course thing. Like, you need to have seen it from start to finish and then look back at it in hindsight and then piece everything together that way. He hasn't consumed the whole thing yet. So at this point, yes, I get it.
yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I get why y'all like it, because I can guess based off of Samurai why y'all like Takaru. I don't know the full meat and potatoes of what happens, but
Yeah.
I know it's a direct one-to-one adaptation, so I get it. But
Don't.
it's also difficult for me to latch on and say, yeah, this guy's great at episode 10 or 11
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever.
I don't think you're
Mm.
supposed to at this point either.
Yeah. And I
So-
mean, I agree. I mean, look, later in this review, I'm going to say some other stuff, but I'll wait until we get there to say it.
Okay, that's fair.
All right. So 13.
And that this episode is called The Heavy Cries. And I'm going to give this one to Rizwan. So go ahead, Riz.
All right. So here we have a Mako-centric episode. This episode begins with Mako doing everyone's favorite thing in the world. She is cooking dinner for the team. And everyone's just, yes, that noise that you made, that is live footage from in the Senken house. That is
Yeah.
a live view of how people feel right now.
I know it's wrong to interrupt when we're going over things, but this is the
I'm sorry, maybe I
this
feel
is the funniest running gag in the whole season. So every time she
It is.
is.
cooking, the others just panic instantly.
Yeah.
It's so
great.
dramatic too. Dun, 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 dun. Oh God, what's going on? She's doing it again. Oh no. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. So Mako is a terrible cook, for those that don't remember. And see, it's revealed by Kotaha that Mako really likes cooking because she wants to be a bride one day. And we touched on this in an earlier episode. I think it was like 7 or something. I don't remember the exact number, but it happened earlier on in the wedding episode. Where we talked about she lamented that I want to be a bride. So this is a continuation of that story in a way. And she wants to be a mother. She wants to be a bride. She wants to use her motherly nature. Okay. So while Mako's out stopping, as she will, she comes across more to Ayakashi, and this time their scheme to take over the world and flood their rivers to come back to the mortal lands is to create illusions of children for the mothers of other children, which in turn makes them abandon their real children for these. I'm gonna call them avatars because that's the best I can do for like a description. Unless you'll have a better suggestion for a name for them, but like that just seems appropriate here. Um, and so in doing so, they leave behind their own kids, and this is deployed to get more tears to flow to rivers to make the kids cry, and the kids are crying. The Senkencers respond. Takaru, Ryunosuke, and Siaki get bogged down with more of these little children attached to them. So they can't attack or remove them without hurting the kids because who wants to hurt kids? That's just not cool. So they're trying their level best to do something without, hurting the kids, but also to make progress and doing what they have to. Um, so G and Kuroku try to keep the kids calm, while Kotaha and Mako try to entertain the kids to keep them safe. Um, During this, Kotaha notices Mako got hurt fighting the Ayakashi. And while Mako says, I'm fine, it's very obvious at this point she's bleeding, she's not doing well. Stuff's about to get real. So, um, Mako's lamenting that she was never able to have a real childhood, partly because of all the family responsibilities and just life wasn't easy for her growing up with the responsibilities that she had um, in the future. So Kotaha tries to offer her to comfort to say like, look, you're doing great, you're fantastic, you will be a mom when the time's right, and you'll be a damn good one. All while everyone's thinking, just don't cook. Just please don't cook. Um, they fight off the Akasi, and episode will ends with the kids getting reunited with their mothers, and the Senkingers actually enjoy dinner by Mako for the first time. Though, as it turns out, uh, it's the stuff that Kuriko made that's the enjoyable part. So that's the gist of the episode. What do y'all think? Because I thought it was a sweet little episode to give Mako some more life.
I mean, get used to it because out of the 6, and yes, I say 6, we'll get to him in a little bit, she's probably the one who gets the least amount of attention throughout the season, so episodes like this are kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my biggest problems with Mako is she's the neglected character by the writing staff.
Yeah, I really
Right.
appreciate this episode. The only other thing I'll say is that I think the beginning of this episode is the highlight when like someone whispers something into Takeru's ear, and it's like what? And then it shows Mako starting to cook. Like that is legitimately funny. Like it's hilarious how even though Shinkenger doesn't really focus on like Shinkenger doesn't really do the whole like get it Mako can't cook joke that much, but when they do it, it's hilarious. Like I said in my last video, it's a running gag that they do in almost every episode in Samurai, but it's just not funny after a while. Like, oh my god, get it? She's doing all these stupid recipes. Isn't that funny? No, it's not.
Are
Like
you
the
entertained yet?
shot
Are you
of
entertained yet?
Takeru, what is it, Takeru Kotaha and Ryosuke like peeping through the door, just talking in fear
Yeah.
while watching her cook is hilarious. But the thing about this episode that I just love how the 3 guys get taken out of this episode by dudes in those full body suits, just hugging them the whole time. I don't know. There's just something visually hilarious about this whole episode. Like I know that's missing the whole point of the episode, but visually this episode is hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Riz? Did you want to say anything else?
Really enjoyed it because, again, I love Mako and Kotaha. They're like the sweetest things in the world and probably some of my favorite parts of the season. Um, them and Siaki are really badass.
Indeed.
And I just like any episode where I can see the characters grow more character-wise. And Mako definitely, I felt she had some good growth here. We got to explore more of an existing storyline, so that was cool. It wasn't just, you know, a one-off thing in episode 8, you said, Anthony, I think. So that was really nice to see that we're continuing to delve more into that. But that's all I got, and we can move on to the Foreign Samurai.
All right,
Oh,
this
wait,
is
I
Act
didn't get to talk
14.
about.
What was that, Anthony?
I never got to talk about my opinion on the episode.
Sorry about that.
Oh, I'm
No, it's
sorry.
okay.
Your opinion is that Tucker is hot garbage.
No. What I was gonna say was that this was actually a good episode. It was the fact that like you had to. It was nice that have the girls kind of like have their own little victory instead of just having to rely on the guys to help them out and stuff. Um, it was also very funny the fact that like Takaru and the others had to basically play as parents to calm these kids down because the more they upset the children that's on their bodies, the more heavier they get, and it's tiring to have them on you, and it's just funny to me. So, but other than that, yeah, that's my opinion. So, on to the next one.
All right, Nate with the Foreign Samurai.
Okay, this is Act 14, The Foreign Samurai. It's a filler episode that revolves around Ryunosuke. Just so you guys know, this is probably the episode that inspired Bulk's character dynamic in Samurai. Just a bit of a, but we'll go into that a little bit more in a second. So in this episode, Ryunosuke gets approached by this American man that apparently got saved from an Ayakashi attack back in Act 7. His name is Richard Brown, which is one of the most American names ever. He he's developed a love for Japan, and he idolizes the Shinkengers and wants to become a samurai too. So he wants to leave Richard Brown, but then when the Ayakashi attacks again, Richard Brown shows up with this helmet, calling himself Shinken Brown, which is probably the closest thing I think Sentai is ever going to get to a Brown Ranger, just at least as far as I'm concerned. But he he gets hurt in the middle of the battle, but Richard Brown encourages them to never give up. They defeat the Ayakashi with Tinku Shinkino, and then Richard Brown decides to return to America and start spreading the samurai lifestyle. So yeah, this is a pretty funny episode.
I love this episode, honestly.
I mean, first of all, like I said, let's be honest. This is the episode that kind of inspires like the whole character dynamic of Bulk and Spike in Samurai. And yet, even though this doesn't become a running gag, it's actually a lot of fun. Like Bulk and Spike are probably one of the better elements of Samurai, but Richard Brown is still pretty funnier than they are.
You take that back. My Bulk is amazing.
Oh yeah, but Richard Brown is
I'm
more.
actually.
No, what?
Go ahead,
You're
Anthony.
going,
Saying the word.
Okay, I'll go.
What I was gonna say was that like I'm actually surprised that they didn't actually adapt this episode and make it into a bulk episode. Surprisingly, that shocked me. But I think it might have something to do with like the monster. Maybe because like they were like, oh, well, we can't have a monster that's like shooting fire everywhere. That we can't have that. So I guess they skipped it maybe for that reason.
Yeah, probably.
Patrick.
Yeah.
This episode is just it's a fun feel good episode. It doesn't really progress anything anywhere. Fine, not every episode needs to. It's just a funny, laid back. You can't hate this guy. Let's be real. You can't hate him.
You want to bet? They did for a little bit.
Test me, boy.
No, I love the character, but I'm saying I don't think the rest of the cast would agree with you.
I know, but I mean, I'm not talking about our perspective.
Yeah, that's true.
He was okay.
You and your damn logic.
I'm sorry. It's a habit I can't break.
I mean, you could if you tried harder.
Yeah, you should. But there's one question I have to ask. Is this the same guy who played for you Cyan?
Oh,
I was
So
wondering the same thing,
No,
and
I
I
don't
don't
believe
think
it
so.
is. It's not
they don't
Robert
look
Baldwin.
similar.
He looks just like him, though.
Are you saying all Americans look the same?
Yes.
How's it feel
All
now?
these white Americans look the
As
same to you?
as a basic as heck white American guy, yes.
Okay. I will accept that for the
Joke's
moment.
on you. We saw ourselves here in Toku Secrets.
He wasn't in. He wasn't an
We say
episode.
it's
This actor wasn't an episode of Tokuger, but no, it's not the same guy that played Ramirez.
I don't remember him in Tokyo. What?
Just some fairy tale character, I guess that's what it says. So yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
and also,
remember that.
quick note because I know it
Give me
wasn't
this.
really like a big deal in the episode, but like the reason why Mr. Brown had known about the Shikingers was because of the Ryosuke episode where he healed everybody with the Kajiki origami because he was there when it happened.
Yeah.
Continuity.
He's like, wow, they're Shikingers. That's cool. I was here the whole time.
Anything else on
Continue
this episode?
Nah.
No, I'm good, man. I'm just memeing about the Brown Ranger here.
Okay, well, next up we have Act 15, The Imposter and the Real Deal's Arrest. And Anthony, you haven't had an episode yet, so go ahead and take it away.
Alrighty, episode 15, The Imposter and the Real Deal's Arrest. Basically, this is the episode where Chiaki is having a really, really kind of a bad day here. So basically, he's trying to learn how to catch a sword with his bare hands, and he's failing miserably. And it gets to the point where like Rinosuke and like Chiaki kind of go at it a little bit because Chucky's just is not able to get it, and he keeps hitting his head against the bamboo. So if you imagine like being hit with this with an actual sword, that would actually hurt. And the Ayakashi of the week, I should say, he has the ability to transform into different people, and so he ends up transforming into like different people. And while Chiaki's out training, he ends up meeting this new Ayakashi, but didn't know it could transform into people. So when he fought him, he ended up getting his head injured and is unconscious for most of the fight. And the Ayakashi goes, I could turn myself into Chiaki and cause a whole bunch of trouble. And so he turns into Chiaki. When the Shikingers arrive, they think it's him, and he ends up just treating them like hot garbage. Like, oh yeah, like I'm being told dick to y'all, and not give a crap about my duties as Shikingers. And so when like whenever you see the real Shaki show up, they're like, dude, what the heck? You're being hot garbage right now. So it's basically just the episode where like Shaki's being treated like crap because they think it's him, but it's not him. It only gets to a point where the monster kind of messes up and basically kind of like exposes itself for a quick second. Chucky sees this and he's able to like convince the others that like, oh yeah, he's definitely not me. We need to get this guy. So Jackie comes up with a very elaborate plan, trick the Ayakashi in thinking that he lured the Shingers into a trap, but actually in reality he ended up tricking the Ayakashi and was able to not only defeat it, but was actually able to catch the sword, the sword hand trick that he was trying to learn early in the episode. He's able to do it, and he's able to actually defeat the Ayakashi and win the day. I'm gonna say this was a really good episode, but like I'm not gonna lie to you, I was a little kind of pissed at everybody else because not because I get the fact that like they thought it was shocky, but like you really think that he'd be that childish and to do that without an actual reason to do it, and like they should have just known Chucky better than that. And they did apologize to him, and they said, "Oh well, we're sorry. We thought you were doing all that stuff, but you were, so it's fine. It was a good episode."
Yeah.
Thanks, Yaki.
Anybody else want to make a comment on this episode?
Like it's okay. I
Yeah,
feel like that this episode was trying to be a character development episode for somebody, but it wasn't.
I feel that.
It wasn't a strong episode for me. Um, I wasn't really into it. It didn't flow, I guess is the right way to put it.
Yeah. Like it felt like it should have been a character development episode for Chake or Ryosuke or something, but it just was kind of more of a let's make fun of Chake for an
Yeah.
episode.
Because
Yeah,
they
and
were treating him like
that
crap
wasn't
this whole episode.
it.
I was like, dang.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so here's my thing. I'm tired of everyone crapping on Siaki because he
Same.
honestly is. He's actually a good character. I like him a lot.
Same here.
Because he's kind of the rebel of the bunch, and that makes him a little bit more interesting dynamic
Mhm.
wise.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But this isn't the kind of dynamic that he's supposed to be here for. Like
No,
this really felt like one of those episodes like well, we need to put an episode here. We don't know what to do. Let's just make something up and go with it.
this episode earns the title of hot garbage.
Not just shocking because they were treating him like garbage in this episode. Let's just get that. This is make sure we get that straight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to episode 16, The Power of the Kuroko. Go ahead, Rizwan.
Okay. So here's another filler episode, and we're gonna have a lot of focus on three characters: Ryunosuke, Chiaki, and Kotaha. The episode opens with Ryunosuke, Chiaki, and Kotaha trying to practice their Mozikari, and they make a lot of mistakes while practicing, and they cause one of the Kuroku to drop a vase and break it. And Z tells them it's to learn more from Kuroko because Kuroko can be seen in public helping people and being this stand-up citizen and just doing everything right and going out of way to help people and do acts of goodness. Um, and this is the way to improve all that. So the next day during an attack by the Ayakasi, the Stenkans are having trouble breaking through the harder like through the cell of this character of the enemy. And while this is going on, Chiaki and Kota are getting distracted when they see Kuroku is helping civilians get away during the battle. And it comes out after that Takura and Mako reveal that Kuroko is helping the Stenkensers in battle by evacuating the citizens because they can't battle due to the lack of Mojikata, realizing that Kuroko is there to help, but she needs to also protect in her own way. So they stop trying to do these acts of good that they've been forcing themselves to do because it's not enough. They have to find their own way to do it, and emulating her doesn't do the trick. So the Ayakasi attack again, and this time we see Kuroko dress Sinkensers up into before the Henson, and they announce their names and all that stuff, and they use a tag team attack with their Majikata to crack the Ayakasi cell to defeat him, and they are able to use a similar thing with their auxiliary origami. Episode ends with everyone admiring the work of Kuroku, and Z um, tells him off when he accidentally breaks another vase because he breaks another right after, and it's hilarity. But so the main thing in this episode really is just talking about the characters attempting to learn to be better samurai, and also highlighting how Kuroko is always there to help those around her.
So a
Thoughts?
weird. Go ahead, Patrick.
Huh? This is one of those episodes that you look at and you think, well, this isn't necessary.
hmm
But then when you actually watch it, it's nice to have because it adds to the lore of the season a little bit. Like seeing what everything they actually do, because you like, well, what do? They just dress them up and put up a banner for them while they're, changing. Well, no, they're actually doing more than that. It kind of opens up your perspective of this season's world and the workings of the Shinkenger organization as a whole, and for that, it's real nice. Like it's not an episode you'd expect out of a show like this, but it's a welcome one. It's different and fun in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, it just, to me, it wasn't a serious episode. It was comedy, in my opinion, anyway.
It was an in-universe, behind-the-scenes episode.
Dude, that's a really good way to put that. I like that a lot.
A weird fact about this episode, though. So when Samurai adapted this episode, so here's the funny thing: Samurai did adapt this episode, but it was adapted during their second season. At which point, the Samurai Ranger, the Gold Ranger, is an established character, and they have their Super Samurai mode. Well, as you can tell, in this episode, Shinkenger, the Gold Ranger's not a thing yet, and their Super mode is not a thing yet. So that's like one of the weirdest adaptations of a samurai episode ever, because they have to come up with this stupid subplot where Antonio loses his morpher, so that explains why he doesn't show up for the fight. And not only that, but they do this weird edit where instead of the battle ending the way it does, apparently they wanted to make this the debut of Super Samurai Blues, so they film all this unnecessary original footage of Kevin transforming into the super mode, and then they have to create a really awkward Megazord battle where they use where they have to combine it with Antonio's Megazord and all that. So yeah, this is actually an episode that was kind of a precursor to just how bizarre some of Saban's decisions would be. And I know what I just spoke about this with Samurai, but yeah, I just wanted to point that out. That was a really weird decision that they made.
I actually didn't know this.
Yeah.
I didn't remember this.
I mean, I've seen a lot of the key points of Samurai. I didn't watch it in its entirety, so I actually didn't know this. But that does sound about up their alley for how they handled the season.
So bad. Ugh, I hate it.
Anything else you want to say, Anthony?
Samurai's hot garbage. Samurai's hot garbage, but this was an okay episode.
Yes,
I'm
yes,
so glad that this
we
phrase has
know.
caught on for y'all.
I hate you for
Yeah.
it, by the way.
hashtag
No,
hashtag
you
hot
don't.
garbage.
Dude, this is the best phrase for the season so far.
I don't know about
Though
all that,
I will say though, I was so glad to get back into Senkenger after 2 weeks in Decade.
oh yeah.
Like, I came back into this and I was like, okay, these are characters I care about for the most part. These are stories that make more sense than the garbage we got in Decade. The fact that these came out at the same time breaks me.
No, they were running alongside one another.
Well, I mean, it's just funny. I know this isn't part of the review per se, but the version of the episodes that I have, and I think y'all have the same ones.
The
Every
original
episode,
subs,
yeah,
yeah, with the
every episode
superhero time
begins with
intro,
like
yeah.
that. Yeah,
Mm.
and so they also look a little preview of Decade now, and I'm like, I don't want to remember Decade. Stop. I want to forget about it.
Oh yeah, that exists.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It was just, it's amazing to me that we had something that was Shinkenger and it's not bad, and then we have Decade and that's the real hot garbage. Sorry, Taco, you're not hot garbage compared to that.
Good.
They were making progress, guys. He's getting there.
No. I'm with you. Like I am saying that Takaru is garbage, but Decade is hot garbage. Does that sound better, Pat?
Yes, because
Okay,
I've only seen about 5 episodes of Decade, and I completely agree.
dude, Decade was. We're on a tangent right now, but that's okay because I gotta voice my opinions that Decade is still garbage, even 2 weeks after we recorded it.
Only thing I'm gonna say before we move on is I hate his outfit so much.
When he's Henson, do you mean?
Yeah,
Oh,
paint
dude, it
bar
was terrible.
paint barcode face. What an idiot.
It's a QR code, Pat. It's a QR code.
I don't care. It's stupid.
I'm making a joke,
I don't care.
but it's a joke, and you're supposed to laugh at it, not tell me you don't care about my joke. This isn't how this works.
Okay, we done with this one?
Okay, get on to your Act
Yep,
17,
here
Pat.
we go.
Okay. I am going to try to speed through this a little bit because this episode and the next episode are where most of the discussion is going to be here because this is Sixth Ranger time, baby. So the episode starts with some very hyperactive dude entering the city with a sushi cart while the Shinkenger were called out to look for something that triggered their alert system. They didn't find anything, but Takaru noticed kind of like a wind phantom creature that blew by him. So they run home to the Shiba house where an arrow gets shot through their window saying coming soon on it. The Shinkenger have no idea what is going on because this is, for all they know, a threat. But Takaru at the same time is freaking out over it. He can feel something that he can't see, and the others can't sense it either. So this whole time, this is bothering Takaru while the other four go out to try to figure out who shot that arrow. They walk past this sushi cart that was handing out a flyer that had the same message written on in the same handwriting. So they jump him, trying to get information out of him before he tricks them into eating spicy sushi and then bolts it Looney Tunes style. And I'm not over exaggerating when I say Looney Tunes style. He got out of there bouncing off walls like a cartoon character. It is hilarious. So Shake and Kotoha start chasing him down the next day while Takaru goes off to a holy or a sacred hot spring because the night before he was taking a bath and noticed that when he was underwater, uh, the feeling he was getting about the stalker monster, he couldn't sense him as well. So he went to the spring to try to bait him out by disappearing into the water and forcing him out. So the others reconvene and get I'm gonna say demorphed because I can't think of a Sentai equivalent term for this. And while they're down and out, about ready to be kill shotted, here comes the sushi shop, throwing chopsticks at him. I think that's what those were anyway. He says he's been waiting for this moment for a long time, pulls out his own phone, flips a disc on top of it, and changes into Shinken Gold. Brief pause here for a second. Costume talk. Gold with navy blue highlights. I love it. I love that color combination so much. What do you guys think?
Yeah, when I was first looking at it, I had a little bit of an issue with it just because I thought the black looked a little bit more badass. But the more I think about it, the more I feel like it suits who Gente is. It makes him look a little bit more light. It really does match the more lightheartedness of who he is. So I think it matches fine, and the gold parts are really sparkly too. So I liked it.
Not gonna not gonna lie. The first couple of minutes that we had Gente on screen and talking about his Susie Marford thing, I had flashbacks to Ninja's Gold with the hamburger phone.
Oh, Star Ninja?
Yeah. I had some flashbacks to that. And it was very disturbing for a little bit because they're both gold. They're both six rangers that invent their own powers in a way.
We'll look that up ourselves there, but yes, and the
Yeah,
Henshin
you know
device
what?
is
It's a
based off,
spoiler. Whatever.
and the Henshin device is based off food. Because the
Yeah,
phone
it
is
just
rice, and the disc is the sushi on top of the rice.
yeah.
I think Genshin,
So that
All right.
parallel was not lost on me.
I think Genshin was the first one who had a,
Okay.
What,
a
Anthony?
morpher that was like based off food.
Probably.
Yep,
He is, but I saw it in the opposite order. Remember?
right.
Yeah, because he's seen him ninja first.
To be
Right.
honest, the
So
So
sorry,
sushi
Lee.
change is a lot
yeah.
more. It's a lot more creative than the burger phone. That's actually really cool. How it is.
Okay,
Yeah.
as a Texan, I have to disagree with you.
You take a disc and it's like fish, and you put it on top of the phone with just like rice. That's awesome.
I wasn't ready.
Look here, in Texas, we're all about them cheeseburgers that can help you instant to ride your bullzord to work.
I was not ready for you to say that, Riz.
But Ninja sucks.
It does suck. I agree with you.
My
That is
God.
the epitome of hot garbage right there because I can't stand anything about that season.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me finish this up so we can get back to the nonsense. So now that he's in costume, Ryosuke is kind of apologetic because he feels like he studied up enough because he didn't know anything about a sixth ranger. Takaru doesn't know about him either. So he lands, whips out his new sword called the Sakamaru, and Yoi, is that how you pronounce the name of the sword style? Yai?
I can't say
It's
it.
It is an actual sword style. It is an actual sword style. For those of you who don't know, very backhanded sheath on sheath style, and he starts tearing through the hordes at like lightning pace. He's a bit reckless. We see that in his fighting styles. He's cutting down trees by accident. But he clearly knows Takaru because when Takaru changes to save him, he's kind of acknowledges that he's gotten better. So Shinken Gold finishes him off, and when he revives, they summon Naga Shinkano again, and they can't see him because he goes invisible. So he whips out his Inca or squid origami to try to fight him off by spraying him with ink to make him visible again, and they finish him off. Afterward, he walks up to with his cart in tow, and Takuru remembers him and acknowledges him as Genta. Genta immediately jumps on him awkwardly to the confusion of the others, and it ends there. He is, compared to the rest of the cast, he is extremely janky.
absolutely.
But,
Yeah.
and this is for the discussion of next episode,
Mhm.
he is honestly probably one of the best handled Sixth Rangers we're gonna see. But his introduction is definitely a spectacle because when he first changed, he wanted to be a showstopper. That's kind of how he was implying. And he kind of was. This is one of the best Sixth Ranger introductions in Sentai, in my opinion.
Indeed.
I will heavily agree with you here.
Yeah, so will I. I think it's
Really.
pretty good. I think well, first of all, I think Shinken Gold's theme song is pretty cool. The fight. Um,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
other than
I
other than that, it's
definitely.
pretty good. Can't really say anything else. Genta is awesome. Anthony, you want to say anything?
Yeah, we can't.
So I really, really, really like Genta. Like he is just like so full of energy. He's very like funny. I remember like laughing my ass off all the times he makes those funny faces of his. He's just like, huh? What?
Oh,
Why?
his his overreacted, his overacted reaction faces are just pure meme material.
Right. Like you cannot hate Genta.
Like
Like
that
you,
face he made when he realized that, like that face he made when he saw the note he shot on the arrow in Mako's hand.
mm.
Oh my gosh!
And I'll
Like
just say this:
you can like you can find him annoying, but like you cannot hate him.
if I'm ever having a discussion with somebody who says comic relief sixth graders don't work and they're stupid, Genta is Exhibit A for the counter argument to that.
Right.
Yeah,
Genta is Exhibit A because
and
of the
thing has
Six
to be
Rangers I've
heavy.
seen. So I've seen Gokai Silver, I've seen Genta, I've seen Orange Tokuzer and Gold Ninja, and all the Kyo Razors and Go Busters stuff. But I gotta say, the most interesting Sixth Ranger is this one so far.
Yeah, because this is going to be leading into this discussion for the next episode. But he throws a much needed dynamic in the established roles of
Yeah,
the team.
and
Badly
it's
needed.
greatly needed. Yeah. I think it's time to talk about
Yeah,
it so that we can get into it.
So
we're gonna move into episode 18, Samurai Promotion. Rizwan, you're up.
Okay, so this is Act 18, as Nathan said, the Samurai Promotion. This part 2 the Genta Act. So this episode begins with Z revealing that Genta is Takeru's childhood friend, whose dad owned a sushi cart in the area, and they'd often play together. Um, which really annoys Z because Genta distracted Takeru from all the samurai training he should be doing, and he was a bad influence on him, according to Z anyway. And when Genta arrives at the mansion, formally asking, "Hey, I want to join the Shinkenzers," Takeru starts to remember everything, including training Genta in the samurai arts when they were kids, and secretly giving him an origami before he left town, which Genta used to make his powers. And he studied the origami and ended up making his own electronic mozzicato and sushi themed weapon because I guess it's a family thing to have sushi in their like life in some way. So if he's not going to be a cart owner like his dad, might as well incorporate it in his Sentai outfit somewhere. Makes sense, right? Um, but so Z formally tells him, no, you can't join the Shinkanzers. It's too dangerous for you. You're not formally trained by us. And he takes the sushi changer away. And Takeru, I will say he's hot garbage here, but I'm going to amend it later. Uh, being hot garbage agrees again that Genta's help is not needed, and he sends him away. after another attack by the Ayakase, Mako and Takaru have what is probably my favorite scene in Shinkenger so far. Mako confronts Takaru and says, "You can't be serious right now that you would turn away your friend. This is your childhood friend we're talking about, and you're just afraid of him being around us." And Takaru, he tries to stay strong and say, "No, you're wrong," but he really struggles here a lot. And this is the first. I mean, okay, so I know we had some development in episode 11, 12, but it's here that we truly see Takaru in a different light. Um, he's he's being told by his team it's okay to be weak. It's okay to have fun and have friends. And dear God, I wish these guys told him this in day one because he really needed to hear that. And like, he's not going to be weak for accepting their help either, which is the entire reason I've been calling him hot garbage the entire time. Because if you remember, Pat, from the last review we did, my biggest thing against him was in that episode where he went off and created his weapon on his own with no help from his team, didn't even consult him or anything. That was my entire argument against him. So having them finally get the balls to say, no, screw you. You need to learn to trust your team more and show your feelings more and accept your childhood friend into the team. That's huge to me. Especially more so that Takaru is starting to break about it. That is what we needed here. So the next time we have Ayakase attack, Takaru returns to CC Changer and allows him to join the team formally. And they do this awesome six-way morph with everyone morphing. And he's even included in the banners. And it's actually quite funny because he has a part where they don't properly have the banner behind them because they're not used to it, I guess. And they have to correct it. And I thought that was hilarious. It was great. So the episode ends typically with them defeating the enemy, and they all end up back at the sushi cart, and they're just talking. And Z admits that he liked seeing Takuru's other side when Genta's around. And look, I'm going to echo Z here. I like this a lot because Takaru is hot garbage because he can't trust his team. He doesn't want to be exposed, and he wants to be this cold, non-caring individual that has no personality and no redeeming qualities. And he's starting to show his vulnerabilities here. And I greatly appreciate seeing that.
Yeah, it's which is kind of going back to what I was saying when we were talking about the previous episode. Genta throws in that dynamic of familiarity because like said, Genta's his childhood friend that he in the flashbacks we saw them have a very very close bond with one another. And
Yeah.
Takaru had kind of grown up in this mentality of I don't want to burden people with risking their lives for me. And he's shaken that off a little bit. He seems more welcoming to have the other four around him. But now Gant is here to just loosen him up in general. And I love, like, you mentioned that scene where him and Mako was kind of calling him out for it. That scene of when she kind of beats him in the sparring match and gives him that smirk of point proven is
Yeah.
so good.
And that's what I meant earlier when I said he doesn't outright say, "Yeah, I agree with you," but you can tell he wants to agree with her. Like it's not because his character is not going to suddenly go from this cold-hearted person to, "Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying." There's a middle ground you got to find here, and That's the middle ground.
Yeah.
Is that
It's he's trying so hard to keep this active, I guess, professionalism up, but the rest of the team is starting to catch on the fact that he is holding himself back hard by doing that.
yeah,
And Genta is the thing that's going to help kind of liven everything up. And like I said, this is the dynamic. This is why I like Genta so much, because I've seen a handful of Sentai where the Sixth Ranger is either some ancient warrior who has ties to the team, but none of them know who he is, or just some random person who stumbles across them and happens to have the same abilities they do and everything. No, there's more ties to them with him. And it's not just, oh god, edgy dude doesn't like red, and it leads to some conflict like go on gold was versus go on red and stuff. Like, this is progressing the team forward instead of adding some useless conflict like most Six Rangers have had, and I like that about him. I really do.
yeah. No, I think this is the part where we start to see Takaru become not terrible. He's growing a little bit here, and I like seeing it a lot.
Yeah, like I think I think my
Um,
only issue with
I mean,
with well, I mean, my only issue with this was like, G taking, Genta's, sushi changer, and it's like, dude, like you may not want him to join the Shikigers, but that's still his property. He still made that. Sure, say what you like. He may have took the origami, but like that's his changer. Like, don't like you can't just take my property like
yeah.
that. That's just not cool to me.
Well, I mean, I get why he took it because he was trying to protect Takaru. I mean, Z has always been the one to say we got to do everything we can to help
Right.
and you know follow the samurai legacy and everything. So if he's trained for years, because he's an old dude. Well, he's not old, but you get the
Yeah.
point. Like he's set in his ways. He's not gonna just easily budge because you know. So I
Maybe.
get why he thought. What?
I'm sorry. You can go ahead. I was going to say, but I was like, go ahead. You're fine.
No, go for it. What were you gonna
No, what
say?
I was going to say was the fact that like they need all the help they can get. It's like from my perspective, as someone who like watches this and just is like, these Akashi are not like gonna just gonna just walk up and just give up. They're gonna need all the help they can get. It's just I'm just trying to. I just
Yeah,
feel like you like realistically, we can't just be denying help if we're getting it. That's my. I get the reason behind it is just my personal thing is like, dude, we need more help. If the more Shikenders we have, the better our turnaround is going to be to winning and fighting, beating these things. You know.
yeah. But on the other hand,
But I get what you're
you don't
saying
want
though.
every little hell ability that comes up with your Shinkenger suit.
No, I get it. I just don't.
You want to make sure that they're trained the
Yeah,
samurai way.
Mhm.
So I
I'm not
get
saying you're wrong.
why Z's
That's just
like that. I
how
I
I'm seeing
totally
it.
get
Yeah.
it. Yeah, yeah. No, I see what you're saying. I'm just saying that I in this case I support Z.
Yeah, I think we both agree. Like, if we both like, there's both sides, to this. So it's not just like,
Yeah.
I'm right or you're right or I'm wrong, you're wrong. It's just we're both right. We're both also like seeing it from different perspectives.
Now, so here's my fear going forward with the character Takaru. So Genta's here now, and we have this glimmer of hope that we'll see Takaru grow up and evolve and stop being hot garbage. But my fear is that whatever he has going on right now, like whatever he's growing, he's gonna close it off again and go back to being closed off and standoffish and all that stuff in like 2 episodes or something. That's my fear.
Right.
Like I don't know if it's gonna stick yet. So like I have this strong feeling that maybe by like episode 25 he'll go back to being a prick for a while.
I mean, occasionally, because he still has his, I guess, approach together, but he does start opening up more.
And I mean, you could see him opening up even before Genta came. I mean, one of the lines that Mako said that really struck a chord with me was, "We like that you've been kind of opening up lately, but you've kind of clammed down again. We don't like that." That was a really powerful line from Mako to say,
Hmm.
because he had been opening up a little bit. He hadn't just been this closed off jackass. I mean, yeah, he still had his moments of, man, screw this guy, but overall, there were moments when we could say, okay, he's trying to at least be sociable, which is something. I mean, he's still not giving off the qualities of a good red. In that he's learning to be a team player, but at least he's taken the steps to try. If that makes sense to y'all.
That makes sense.
So yeah, this is why I wanted this episode,
Yeah.
not the other one. Because the other one to me would have been boring for me to talk about in comparison.
I mean, this is a very important episode in the series as a whole, so I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But do you have any other thoughts about this before we move on to Nathan?
No, we're good.
The other thing I want to say is that this has one of the funniest moments in the entire show where Genta is talking about joining the team and like he says like, all right, let me join you, and then G says no, and then Genta's like, right, no, huh, no.
Yeah,
It's
that's
one of
pretty
the
funny.
funniest moments in the whole series.
Dude, Genta tried so hard.
As a reaction, like his reactions are just gold. Pun intended.
Yeah. Get out.
Come on, you can't let me have this.
I've had it for this long now.
Anyway, next up, we'll be doing episode 19, Learning the Samurai Disposition. This is mostly a filler episode, although a couple of important things happen. So in this episode, now, first of all, as it begins, Genta introduces he introduces everyone to an origami that he made himself through his own electronic mojikara called the Ebi origami. It's a gold lobster-like origami, which, by the way, is a pretty cool touch. In Samurai, they actually have it so that like the Claw Zord had always been a Zord, and Antonio was just repairing it. But in Samurai, they actually have it so that Genta actually makes the Ebi origami, which is a really cool touch. I like that better. But anyway, basically in this episode, Ryunosuke gets into a bit of a feud with Genta because he doesn't want to acknowledge Genta as a samurai, because he doesn't think that Genta is a true samurai, and Genta wants Ryunosuke to accept him, so he dresses up like a Kuroko and starts following Ryunosuke around. We see that Ryunosuke is like a really disciplined person. Like, he has every one of his days carefully planned out to the very second, which is insane. Did you encounter Shitari? one of the leading Geto Shu and another Ayakashi in the forest. This is the first time I think they meet Shitari. By the way, I know they've met Dayu already, but not Shitari. They get cut off from the other Shinkengers, but then they come together and they're able to defeat the Ayakashi. So this is one of those standard filler episodes. I pointed this out in our Tokuja review, and I pointed it out in our Gokaja review. This is just an obligatory episode that comes with the Sixth Ranger debut. You know, each episode you meet the Sixth Ranger, debut as a character, and they either get their powers for the first time or they already have their powers. They show up, they do some flashy stuff, and then episode over. Next episode, you learn a little bit more about their backstory and them joining the team. It's either they're a loner that doesn't want anything to do with the Rangers, or they want to join the Rangers, and then someone is like, "No, you suck, get out." And then at the end, they join, and then you have the obligatory filler episode where one of the core Rangers has an issue with the with the new Sixth Ranger. And you can look at a bunch of different Sentai, and I pointed this out in Tokuger and Gokaiger. I think this is one of the better ones though, because I think I don't really mind these filler episodes as long as you can come up with reasonable, like a really natural feud. And it works perfectly with Ryunosuke because Ryunosuke has been taught by the book, and he has this real, formal training. So he would naturally probably be rejecting of Genta. Hell, he was actually pretty rejecting of Genta in the past already. So yeah, I think it works. Aside from that, though, nothing really important happens, but it's still a pretty good filler episode, just fitting into the category of the episodes I just pointed out, if that makes sense.
The conflict in this episode, not only is it totally in character for both of them, but it's so funny because they're the two most animated members of the team. So them getting in each other's faces is just brimming with comedic potential.
Right.
Yeah.
It's hilarious, and him dressing up as one of the housekeepers spying on Ryosuke as they go around is it's something he would do totally. It's a fun little bonding episode that's more on the comedic side. There's nothing more to it than that, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say that maybe it's my nitpickiness about it, but we didn't really get anything new about Ryunosuke. Like, I know we had mentioned earlier, Nate, that we get more of his meticulous schedule and his life and what he does in his daily routine, but I feel like we implicitly knew that from before.
Yeah,
Mm,
probably
maybe
not. Yeah,
not this in depth, but
I mean, I say it implicitly because we don't know exactly what it was, but we had the idea in our minds already that, yeah, okay, this guy probably does all the things that we were seeing him do here. Like, we already knew all this,
Yeah.
yeah, but it's still weird
It's
to
just a
see it
it's just
all.
validation, yeah. It's what?
It's still weird to see it all in action, though. Like
Um,
this man is that timely with everything. Like we knew that Ryosuke was kind of a perfectionist and a what's the word I'm looking for? Um by the
By the books or the type of guy or
yeah,
yeah.
something like that. Yeah, by the books as can be, but seeing him be like this strict about it is kind of creepy.
I mean
I can
I
see that,
mean
yeah.
He has a bit of an unhinged feeling to him. You can
anything else you guys want to say about this episode?
Um,
Um,
I was
no.
gonna say that
Question.
um, I think that like if this was a kind of a good episode for like uh two Rangers who might not get along at first, like kind of like maybe get to know each other better. Um, because I can kind of like see like I guess because how crazy Ryunosuke is with this like discipline and all that stuff, I could see why like the others are kind of like, yeah, hold up, wait a minute, something right here. If he's even late, even one like 2 minutes, he did just like, okay, something's definitely up. And that kind of shows
Hmm.
you that like maybe they do trust each other, and they maybe like they know when one of the comrades might be in trouble. It kind of like shows you, hey, like they actually do pay attention to what their comrades do.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know if it had been anybody else, they probably would have been like, oh, well, it's Chiaki, so he's gonna be late because obviously he's gonna be late. So because it's him, they just know something's definitely up. That's all I gotta say.
All right. Well, then we'll move on to Act 20, the Ebi Origami's transformation. Anthony, you'll be this will be the last episode we're covering in this video, guys. So go ahead, Anthony. Take it away.
Well, it's Kotoha's birthday, and the others are probably basically trying like to figure out like how to make a surprise party. They're planning like getting the cake and just gonna get all the food. It's gonna be freaking amazing. But an Ayakashi has to ruin it because immediately this Ayakashi has like the weirdest and creepiest looking one of them all. He has like these like red ball like body parts that like they have like like mouths coming out of them, and like he splits apart, and he just steals people's souls. So like his one hand that opens up, it just takes people's souls out of their mouths and just like he eats them. And he got my girl. It, it was painful to see. I was like, no, not my baby. No, she's too precious. And so basically what it is that like this Akashi basically told him straight up like, hey, if you guys don't kill me before like the next day and I don't come out, these people are gonna die. Like there's no saving them. And I'm gonna be in the Tennessee River the whole time, so bye. And like the Shinkengers are just trying like to like figure out what they're gonna do, because if they don't get this Akashi to come out and kill it, like people are gonna die, especially Kodaha, because Kodaha, is you know our precious Kodaha. Like, like they really were trying to figure out what they should do. Even up to the point where even Juzo comes and he can tell them like, hey, here's an idea. If you guys become Gedoshu, you can enter the Sansa River and you can go and fight that Wayakashi you want to kill. And they actually contemplate on actually doing it. They're like, oh yeah, we would totally be down for becoming ghetto just to save her, because that's Kodaha. That's she's our youngest and she's our precious. We're not letting this go die. But Genta always coming up with something new. He is just like one of the best characters for this. So this guy basically was able to use his Mojikara onto the monster, and was able to like connect it with his Ebi Origami, so that whenever they add Mojikara to Ebi Origami and make it grow and grow and grow and grow, it would lure out the Akashi that was trying to leave and like stay in the Senzu River until everybody died. And it was just beautiful because like they ended up getting this guy out, and he can't split apart because the same Mochikara symbol that gets used on him, preventing him from splitting apart and getting away. because of Abe Origami. So as long as Abe Origami's there, then he can't split apart. And they were actually, this is the first debut of Abe Origami's mecha, and Genta, finally be able to have his own mecha. He fought and was able to kill the Ayakashi before the next day ended. So it was a nice happy ending. The birthday celebration went off a hitch. Kosa had her birthday party and she was just feeling like, on cloud nine. But before that, I think she was like feeling bad about, being the one that was caught in the Ayakashi attack. And she felt like she, let them all down, and it was just very emotional for everybody. So this was definitely a very good episode. So, what are your thoughts on it?
I actually, I really like this episode. Actually, I think the thing that stands out to me is that Chiaki and just how determined he was to get Kotoha. I think that really speaks to their relationship. That's
Mm-hmm.
actually a really powerful moment for me. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it's this is kind of a Kotoha episode, and any episode that she plays a big role in is automatically gold because, as we know, Kotoha must be protected. Um,
All time.
Mm-hmm.
but, yeah, so this is a pretty good episode, actually. I really enjoyed, and it's a pretty cool debut for Gentes Dakaio, which is awesome, by the way. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, that's all I have to say. What about the rest of you?
Yeah, I mean, not really much else to say on it. It's
Yeah.
nice. It's nice to kind of see the lengths they're willing to go for each other already. Because at the start, they weren't on sync all that well in like the first like 5 or so episodes, but they've come a long way in a short
Mm-hmm.
time.
Mhm.
So
Riz?
No, y'all covered it pretty well. I don't have anything else to really add or comment on here.
no one gonna mention the
Oh
cliffhanger.
yeah,
All right. Did I have to?
as we mentioned it.
No,
Come on, guys, we
Yeah,
got
it
I
didn't
guess
happen.
I guess I have to talk about it.
so.
So okay, during the whole thing,
Suddenly, the end.
it's still, I'm just going to just do it because it's still technically part of the episode review. Gento walks outside and he notices every origami has been stolen. Not exactly, no, was it?
Eco origami.
Eco origami. Eco origami has been taken by a very familiar face that me, Nathan, and Riz know. Daiki from Kamen Rider Decade. He's here and he's basically took Gento's basically one of his mech, and he's like, "Hey, who are you? What are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm just a Kamen Rider passing through." He's like, "Kamen Rider? What's that?" And he's like, "You need to find out. Bye." And so now he's about to chase Jackie to get his origami back. I'm just like, no. This was the part we read the most about.
Tune in to a completely different show.
Yeah. I was like, why did you do this?
I'll leave you three to handle that mess. I'm stepping away
Yeah.
from this.
Can I leave it to these two and step away as well? That'd be nice.
Well, that's another
It's
thing
so
for another
bad.
time.
I
Yeah.
Thank God.
I've actually those because I felt it was in my need to, and there was no point in this. There's literally no point in this.
No,
Is
no,
this
Decade is just bad.
Yeah.
like seeing how I'm not gonna be there for that video? Was this the first time that there was ever like a cohesive Sentai Kamen Rider crossover?
I think so, at least in the
I don't
Heisei
know.
era. Because I've seen all, I've seen basically every Sentai all the way through that aired in the Heisei era, along with the Heisei era Kamen Riders, which is
Mhm.
like which started way back when Time Ranger was airing. So I believe so. Um, and I could only think of one other time where they did it. Like they had a brief one where the Knee Ninjas crossed over with Drive and Mock, yeah, Mock. Um, and and then of course there's the superhero Tyson movies, which started off as a Super Sentai versus Kamen Rider movie series before it eventually just turned into a Kamen Rider thing. But yeah, this is probably the first time that that Sentai's done a Kamen Rider crossover.
It's legitimately surprises me that Go Ranger and Ichigo never had a
Yeah.
thing
Right.
together
You would think.
It is
back
interesting, isn't it?
back in the day.
But yeah, let's um we should probably talk briefly. We've already kind of gotten our early impressions of Genta out of the way. Um, do we want to make any more comments on like how far on like any character developments that the characters have gone through, or do you have anything else you want to add?
I mean, there's really not much to talk about other than Takaru because the other four didn't really have anything that kind of pushed them forward outside of Mako with like one episode. So this has
Yeah.
mostly been like a Takaru driving batch of episodes and Genta
Yeah.
because he's new and we've basically said everything we needed to say on that matter.
Yeah.
So I don't think so.
No, I mean I'm good for the moment. The only thing I'll add in is Tucker's hot garbage, and we'll move on for the moment.
Gosh, more things
It'll
change,
it'll
the
become
more
a
they stay
term
the
of
same.
endearment at some point. What?
The more things change, the more they stay the same.
Yeah.
Look, it'll go from an insult to a term of endearment.
Man, now there's the part of me that wished I was here
Soon.
for the Gokai's reviews because I would have driven you this crazy with Captain Marvelous.
We invited you to come. You
I
didn't want
know,
to do it.
but if I knew you were gonna do this, I would have been there to insult Marvelous and his overrated but all up and
I
down that
mean,
review series.
I would have taken it. I've been like, okay, cool. I
I
could see
don't
what you're
care
saying.
about people. I don't care about this planet. I don't care about. And I have to sacrifice the
Yeah.
Ranger keys to get what you're saying, but I care now. No, you don't. Shut up, idiot. Yeah, I'll say it now. I hate the Gokaisers. All six of them. Literally
Dang.
all of them.
Wow.
Damn, son. You
They
hate
don't
Zoe?
develop. None of them
Yeah, they
develop.
do.
No, they don't.
They
A
kind of do,
sun,
actually. Yeah.
a sun character shift in the penultimate episode is not character development. I'm sorry.
It was pretty gradual throughout if you rewatched it.
Maybe in due time, but mine
I
was.
would
Those were
okay,
my
so I would
original
say the
impressions.
first time I watched Gokaiger, I agree with you. 100% agree with you the first time. The rewatch I did with these two last year and this year, I completely changed my mind on that.
Well, I'll get to it when I get to it. I do plan
Yeah,
on
that'll be in a
rewatching
couple
this
of years,
series.
isn't it?
Yeah, because I want to watch every Sentai leading up to it. So it'll
Yeah.
be a while, just so I get the full effect.
Okay, well, if we got nothing else to comment on, we can just wrap this up. Although, Riz, what are your seeing as you're the one person who's never seen Shinkenger before? What are your thoughts with the show as it progresses now? Like, do you still think that it's hot garbage, or is it becoming better?
Okay, so it's it's hard to say really because so Takara's had in total one really good episode out of 20 where I can see a character I like. And the negatives of Takaru have been weighing down the really good stuff I like in Shinkenger so far a lot. Because look, if you're gonna talk about a Super Sentai, the thing that everyone will first look at is not the blue, not the green, not the pink. They're gonna look at the red,
Mhm.
and they're gonna see how the red is, and they're gonna judge the entire thing off. I mean, look at us. Do we ever say, "God, I loved Zeo because of Rocky," or have you ever said like, "Man, I really enjoyed In Space because of Cassie"?
Hey,
No, you're gonna talk about
I
Andros
mean,
first. You're gonna
I
talk about
enjoy it because
Tommy
of
first,
Cassie,
right?
but
Like
that's just
that's
me.
And and
right, but that's not the first thing you're gonna say.
True.
If I ask you on the spot right now, favorite character in Space, who is it?
Andros.
Most memorable character
Andros.
in Space, say it.
yeah, yeah,
Andros.
Andros, yeah.
Okay, that's the point. The red is always gonna be the thing to draw a Sentai together, and this red hasn't really been a red yet, in my opinion. He's trying to be a red, but he's not a very good one. And that's been really difficult on me to say, yeah, this is fantastic. It's the best thing I've seen because it's not yet. And y'all are telling me at some point in the future it will be, but I will say there is improvement,
Yeah,
but it
and
hasn't become the thing that you guys have been hyping up for all these years that, oh, this is the thing, nothing will top it. Haven't gotten there yet.
Well, it's progress at least.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'll say one thing about that real quick, and I'm not. It's not going to be like a little shut up ruse. It's that point that you're saying about, oh, you look at the red immediately, and you think, well, that's the guy right there. I like that Shinkenger chose to take a risk on not making the Red Ranger the goody goody two shoe iconic look up to him immediately type of person that just about every other Sentai and Power Ranger season tries to. That's literally the same reason why Andros is my favorite Power Ranger, because he wasn't like perfect. He had to kind of grow into that leadership role,
Hmm.
just like Takaru is. Granted, it's from a different perspective, and the reasons for why he needs to grow into it are different. But him being that standout of having to earn the color red is part of the appeal, honestly, because a lot of people have talked about Andros the same way you're talking about Takaru right now. I've seen people trash Andros before because they didn't like him early in the season,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but that's part of the appeal to me. So, like my
I
two
mean,
reds in the respective series are my favorites for almost the same reason.
yeah.
So,
Okay, well, if that's all that we really have to say,
Pretty much.
we hope you guys enjoyed this video. Next time, we will be when we return, we'll be kind of doing a bit of a special thing where we cover the whole crossover event with Shinkenger. We're gonna have to be watching we're gonna include some of the Decade episodes in there, just to just to make it a bit smoother. So we'll be taking a look at that. Then once we got that out of the way and we have Decade all finished up, we'll just jump right back into Shinkenger and finish it up. But with that being said, we hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please be sure to like us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook on the social media places. Check us out on animesecrets.org. If you have any comments that you'd like to make or any suggestions you'd like to see us cover here on the podcast, please be sure to comment down below. Please like this video if you're watching on YouTube, and if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please subscribe. And once again, we hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we'll see you guys next time. So, see ya. Bye.